Uh, I'm Anthony, and this is my presentation on the importance of being earnest. So, at the start of the book, it's set in London around 1890, so around the turn of the century. And it focuses on these two main characters, Jack Worthing and Algernon Mocknurif. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. And these two are having a conversation about Jack asking Algernon if he can propose to Gwendolyn. And as they're having the discussion, Algernon, I guess he drops the ball on how he visits the countryside to have fun and to escape his dual social parties and his social gatherings with his aunt, Lady Bracknell. And as he's saying this, Jack also reveals his true identity, or not so much his true identity, but his double life, and how his real name is Jack and not Ernest. So as this continues, Lady Bracknell and Gwendolyn arrive, and I guess you could say they crash their conversation. And Jack proposes to Gwendolyn as Ernest, and Algernon is left thinking about how Jack is not Ernest and he's just Jack. He's Jack from the countryside and Ernest in the city. So as the proposal goes on and Lady Bracknell is talking to him, talking to Jack, after all that, Algernon hears he hears Jack reveal to Gwendolyn where he lives, like his true house in the country, and his ward, Cecily. So Algernon, he's trying to have a good time. He writes down his address, and as Jack leaves with Gwendolyn, he decides on his own to go into the countryside and meet his ward and find out his real life. So, like a few days later, Algernon arrives at Jack's country home, and he meets Cecily, but he disguises himself, or he pretends to be Ernest, Jack's fake identity. And according to Cecily, Ernest is Jack's irresponsible younger brother who parties a lot, and Jack, being the responsible older brother, goes into the city to bail out of his trouble. So as Cecily believes that Ernest is very bad and all he does is party, but since she never met him and she's always heard of him, she somehow develops like an imaginary, story of Ernest and an imaginary love affair with him. She reveals to Algernon that they've already been married and that they've already been divorced. So she's already in love with him, even though she just met him. She's in love with the idea of Ernest rather than Ernest himself, or Algernon. And as this continues, Jack, he comes and he rides with Gwendolyn, or rather, Jack comes after Gwendolyn, but Gwendolyn arrives at his country home, and he starts talking to Cecily. And somehow they both talking about love, and they both reveal to each other their one true love, Ernest. And it finally dawns upon them that Ernest is married to both of them, or proposed to both of them. And as Jack arrives and he sees Gwendolyn pretending to be Ernest, Algernon is also there pretending to be Ernest. And it doesn't really blow up, but for me, the book, I expected it to really blow up in their faces and to be real tragedy. But nothing really happens, and the situation dissolves half-heartedly and really, really fast. And it's one of the reasons why I don't recommend the book. It's a good read, but it's just way too short. And it doesn't really resolve the conflict or really explode. It kind of ends up being everything kind of works out, even though there's a lot of underlying problems, and you're just left with how can this even happen? This doesn't even make any sense. Why is no one in tragedy? And it's just I don't know. It's a really fast read. If you have nothing to do for like half an hour, then I'd recommend it. Otherwise, it just isn't a good